So in this video, we're talking about some basic array stuff, like how to get through an array, how to set up an array, how to access an array. What I've decided for this program, which is called ArrayKeyIn.java, is that we're going to set up an array of student names and an array of integers that represent grades for those students. So we're going to set up two different arrays. One is going to be a string array, one is going to be an int array. Then we're going to search through the array for a specific name, and we're going to print out the grade for that student. So there's a couple different ways to set up arrays. You see here that I have a program started. I'm going to be using the scanner, so I imported java.util, and I have a string array already set up on line 12. You can see a string array. And the reason I know that that's going to be a list, an array, and not just one specific string is I'm using these hard brackets next to the word string. The name of that list is going to be called name because it's storing student names. And then you see I use squiggly brackets around all of the different strings that will be the elements in that list or the elements of the array. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. And then that's one way to set up an array. The other way that you can set up an array, and so I'm going to do this in line 13 with my integer array. So you see I have our variable type int, which you've seen before. Normally what we used to do in the past is say like int grade equals 98, done. But now I want a whole list of grades, not just one, but I want 7 of them. And so the reason, or 5 of them, because I want 1 for each of these students. So I'm using this line that you see in line 13, int with the hard brackets. Hard brackets mean list or array. I'm calling my list grade, and then I'm using the new keyword. And again, my variable type is int, so I'm using int. And then I put a 5 in here because I know there's 5 names. Now, one cool thing about arrays is instead of using 5 as a hard-coded number, I can say name.length, and it'll know how long that array list is, or that list is, and so it'll take the 5. I would prefer doing that just in case I add more students later. So how this looks in memory is now the memory of my computer knows that there's this list of names, and it's got all of those names listed. Oh, and I guess I could add one more on there. There. So it's got all of those names listed here. So you see name 0 is Braden. So if I called on name 0, that would be the name Braden. So name 1 would be David, and so on. Now what I want to do is I want to ask the user to enter. Please enter the first grade, the second grade, the third grade, and all of the different grades. To do that, I'm going to use a for loop like this. So I'm starting at 0. I'm going to go through the whole length of that grade list, and I'm just going to keep asking for the grade. And then notice how I'm reading in from the keyboard. And when I read it in from the keyboard, I automatically place it into that spot. So what's going to happen is say, enter the grade, and then whatever gets entered, like let's say a 98 got entered, then grade 0 would be a 98, just like name 0 was Braden. And then it'll go around the loop, the I will become 1. So now I'll be talking about grade 1. And if they enter a 99 or something, then grade 1 will be a 99. And that'll keep going through, and it'll keep entering all of the grades for the grade list. So that's 2 ways that you can set up arrays. and it is a nice way to traverse through an array. So why don't you go ahead and try making your own list. Maybe make a list of characters and look through a string for that particular character or something like that. But find a way to practice that.